we have a living legend, a future Hall of Famer, the current head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Hard Knock superstar. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Tomlin. How you doing, Coach?
Great to be on with you guys.
Hey, did you hear Rich Rod's back at West Virginia was announced this morning officially?
I just heard, man. I know you're excited about that, man. I'm happy for the Mountaineer faithful.
I can't wait to get back down the hills. We're going to have a hard edge team again. You know what I mean? There's going to be a little bit of edge down there. Speaking of that, it's been fun to watch you on Hard Knocks. I just want to let you know that. As somebody who's always been a fan of yours, obviously grew up in Pittsburgh, have had a relationship with you, but never got a chance to experience you as a coach, the Hard Knocks clips have cemented everything I thought about the reasons why your players all love you. Have you enjoyed that process? This is your first time now with cameras in there. Have you noticed it? Have you changed it all? Or is that you since you got in that building that we're seeing?
It's kind of been a non-issue for me and for us, to be quite honest with you. I just go about my normal business, and, their agenda is a little bit different than ours. Our business, man, is winning football games, and, I try to just remain focused on that. And more than anything, man, I want the guys to mirror the behavior that I display. And so, I'm not going to not be myself or be different under those circumstances. I think that's when it becomes a distraction. And so I've focused on being my normal self, and I think the players have done the same thing as well.
Watching your style of coaching is really cool. They showed a moment of you with Joey Porter Jr. when he was putting his contacts on, and obviously he had just got out of a game where he had 6 penalties, and at corner, obviously that's something that can, linger or hold you down for a while. You just having like a quick conversation with him, acknowledging the penalties, and then saying, hey, we're not there yet, and then motivating him and moving on. It's like, the way you go about doing your shit is awesome. You just need to know that from somebody that has never been in your building. That's why I think Hard Knocks have been so great this year. And now that I know you a little bit more behind the scenes in the way you talk and do things, that decision to put Russ in was one that was a big deal. And you had to come out actually because it was getting so loud and say, I had to make an executive decision and put Russell Wilson in. I wanted to see if our team could get to the next level. How have you felt about that decision? Obviously, it's worked out very well. And what did Russell show you before he got on the field that made you believe, like, yeah, Russ is still the guy that can cook on the field?
From my perspective, it wasn't as controversial a decision or as difficult a decision as maybe from the outside, but I get the benefit of watching him operate every day, not only in terms of his throwing talents and throwing the football, but just the, unofficial things or the intangible qualities that he brings to the role. He's got over a decade of experience, man. He has a way with his teammates that's inspiring, informational. He brings people together. He brings the best out in people. And really, man, just working every day in close quarters and practicing and meeting and all of those things were a component of the decision. And so from that standpoint, I just knew that not only he had the talents to do it, but I thought he had the capabilities of maybe bringing out the best in the individuals that he worked with. And so, it's still very much ongoing. I'm excited about the trajectory of it, man. But you know how it is. We're a few days away from stepping in another big stadium, and he'll get an opportunity to prove it again.
Yeah, what have you done for me lately is the business that you're in. The business is winning. If you don't do that, nobody cares about anything, it seems. Russell Wilson told Bill Cowher, which was pretty cool to watch, in an interview that you guys were the first ones to call him whenever everything at Denver took place. It was like 7:30 a.m. I got a call. It was the Con artist, shout out to Omar Khan, and Mike Tomlin. Had he been one of the guys that you just been a fan of from afar? Because I know you got a lot of those guys around the league. Obviously, everybody has respect for you. But why was that your first call, and why do you think you guys were the first ones to call Russ?
First of all, man, I've just been an appreciator of his work for over a decade, his talents, the way he plays the position, his competitive spirit, his resume, all of those things were attractive to us. And you couple that with a guy that experienced some personal or short-term difficulties, man. He had something to prove. That was attractive to me as well, to be quite honest with you, man. A guy looking for a bounce back, a guy working with an edge, a guy that knows he can do it and just needs an opportunity to show that again.
You think he's had any permane sandwiches or anything? You think he's done any real Pittsburgh shit yet? Has he gone all in?
Hey, I doubt it.
He's like a CEO. It feels like he's been a CEO for as long as we've known him in like pop culture. And there for a while, I think, when it wasn't going as well, everybody started to kill him. Everybody started to kill him for all the things he had been doing for a long time. And it was like, well, if you don't win, nobody cares. I said immediately upon him signing with Pittsburgh that if he wins there, Yinzers will go to bat for him forever. It does feel like this entire city is behind him and this team. Can you feel that?
I'm kind of insulated, man. All I do is go to work and gas my car up, man, and go home. So I hear the rumblings, but I can't necessarily say I feel it.
Okay, well, you should. You should. They're out there. AP Tone has a question for you.
Coach, we are behind you and the team. And once again, thank you for everything. And you talked about in a few days, a big one, played in a big arena in Breezewood. And then, a few days after that, we got to go Ravens a week down in Baltimore. And a few days after that, we come back to our house for the Chiefs on Christmas days. And I know that excuses are tools for the incompetent, and we don't make predictions, we make preparations. But a lot has been made about those 3 games in those 10 days. Have you talked about the team at all about those 3 games in 10 days, and have you guys prepared at all for that in any way, shape, or form?
I try to keep the present challenges our singular focus, and so behind the scenes, organizationally, obviously, I've made some decisions about how I structure the calendar. I made some day-to-day decisions in terms of keeping guys upright, giving guys rest days and so forth. But it hadn't been anything that I've addressed in the big room, if you will, or in front of the group. I just don't want to give it that amount of credence at this juncture. I'm sure everybody's aware of the schedule. But our job this week is the Philadelphia Eagles. And so I'm going to delve deeper into that, probably more with the collective on the other side of this game. Right now, we're in the midst of a 7-day cycle in terms of prep. And so things are business as usual, but it's going to quickly change once we get on the other side of Philadelphia.
Commissioner Goodell trying to punish the Steel City.
Unbelievable.
I don't like that at all. All right, we'll talk shit for you, because you get to a Philly. Saquon's so good.
Hey, and please do a good job of it.
I've been watching how you shit talk too, so I got to up my shit. I got to get better at that. Saquon's so good. Saquon is so good. Obviously, you've seen. Why do you think this year is the year that Saquon's having, Coach?
I just think that he, you couple his talents, man, with a bunch of talent around him where you can't focus on him, then he's really just going to explode. And I think it's as simple as that. We played him in 2020, man, in the opener when he was playing for the Giants, man, and he had all of our attention. We're not afforded that opportunity this time around because of guys like Jalen Hurts in that receiving tandem. And so I think, sometimes the strength is in the pack, and he's got some talent around him, and all that does is highlight his already existing talent.
He's jumping over people backwards this year. I mean, he's having a good time. It is.
No joke.
Yeah, for real. Now, let's talk about your defense that's going to be tasked with it. Ty has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, one of my favorite parts of Hard Knocks so far has just been watching your relationships with different players. And in one of the episodes, we got a quick look at you talking to Cam Heyward before going into the locker room. And you kind of just said, like, hey, get your guys in line. And then that was the end of it. How crucial is it having a guy like him on the defense where, you maybe don't have to helicopter over him too much? He's another coach on the field, and that he's going to have his guys ready to go, and it's not something you have to be on his ass about constantly.
Man, he is such a treat. First, let me say this, man. He is playing lights out. His play has been top tier, man. He's playing as good as he's ever played, man. He's an ageless wonder. But I also just really appreciate the fact, man, that he is Pittsburgh born and raised, man. We drafted this guy in 2011, man, and just to watch him grow as a player and a human, man, it's been cool to be a part of that. And it really just makes my day easy, to be quite honest with you. That dude understands what we're doing here, our approach to business, our culture, our values. He embodies all of those things. And so, man, it's just easy sometimes just to communicate with him, knowing that he's going to relay whatever messaging I need relayed to the others. Sometimes I do it deliberately. I'm like, head, tell Benton we need this.
Head, okay. All right, so that's what I was about to ask. That is the biggest head you've ever seen?
Oh man, he's an ogre for sure.
That's such a weapon in football, especially at his position. But when that thing walks by, I mean, it's like, holy shit, there's a brain inside it. Think about the size of the brain that has
Massive.
to be.
Man.
His dad used to play pickup hoops around town. His head, iron head. I mean, you're talking about absolutely massive. I seen him in person one time. I was a little kid. I saw him at a pickup basketball game. I'm like, the fuck is that? And it's like, that guy's name's Ironhead. That's actually his name. It's like, that makes sense. It's beautiful over there. It feels like a college atmosphere you guys have at the Steelers. Now, I'm not saying college as if like academia matters, which it obviously does, but like OG's coming back in. I think you guys still call it the blitzes are still the same call that they've been forever. So whenever the OGs come back, they feel like they're a part of that. That's very crucial for you guys, right? That's like a massive piece of the whole puzzle of the Steelers organization.
I think certainly it is, man. Just the standards that have been set for us by those that have come before us, man. We can't do anything but embrace that, and I think just the homecoming component of it for me, I think that's the biggest blessing of being in my role. As long as I've been in my role, man, I want to make sure that those guys feel welcomed. I want to do things to make sure they remain connected to us. And calling the blitzes the same is just something that I thoughtfully do, just so they know what they're looking at and they can appreciate it and continue to be a part of it.
You trying to sign J.J. Watt at all whenever he's over there? He's got the towel twirl down a little bit better.
Figured it out.
He was an amateur Bush League towel twirler at the beginning of the season, much better now. He's in your building a lot, though. He said this is the last year, maybe.
Hey, we don't have enough cash for 2 Watts.
What a line. On that note, speaking of cash and leadership, Chuck Pagano has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach Mike, they often say the speed of the leader determines the rate of the pack, and I've marveled at the way you've led that team and that organization for almost 2 decades now. Watching Hard Knocks, Coach, I saw a meeting you had this last one. I think it was Russ and Justin Fields, some of the offensive players, and you were kind of mapping out some things that had to get done leading up to that next ball game. I had some leadership council stuff that when I was at the Colts and had a group of guys that I talked to, and a lot of it was, the message for the week, the things that, they were kind of, my Paul Revere, so to speak, getting that message out to the...
I don't know what all Paul Revere actually did, but to your point, the deliveries of the message. Yeah, the deliverers of the message.
Okay.
Got it.
But anyway.
That's a whole thing. That's a whole other thing.
Okay. Sorry, Mike T.
He might not know that either. They're saying he didn't do shit. They're saying he did not ride as far as they're saying. Nonetheless.
But I think one of the things I had to do with that group initially was there was 8, 10, 12 of them. Like, this isn't a session for you guys to come in and start bitching about, okay, the food sucks, we're working too hard, why are we wearing pads, twice, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure it's an open floor for you and an opportunity, again, to get your message out, for them to get the message to the team and to the locker room. But is there an opportunity for them also to come to you and say, hey, look, we've got some things that are going on, share some things with you, get some things off their chest as well?
Yeah, and I meet with the offensive leadership on Wednesday and Thursday morning weekly. I meet with the defensive leadership the same on Wednesday and Thursday morning. And my goal is to do it so regularly that, the significant discussions never occur, because the communication is so continual and fluid. We try to see around corners. I want to empower them as leaders, man. A component of them being leaders is them getting information or getting the why or what objectives I'm trying to get done with a day or a week. And so, it's been good this year. It's been a fun group on both sides. But again, I want to make it routine where it's not like this big meeting where they feel like they need to get things off their chest. I just wanted to be more organic and continual and fluid than that.
Yeah, and you treat them all like adults. That's what I tell from watching. It's like, hey, we're grown men here. It's not a job. It should be a career. That line is a bar, by the way, that I've never heard before. There's a lot of them. You're just dropping like gold all through these Hard Knocks. I don't know if you know that. They're giving away all your shit right now through Hard. I mean, it is just boom, bang, pow.
Hey, that's why I was so fundamentally against it, but don't get me wrong.
But you're talking to like grown men. And this last question, I know you don't have all day for us. Connor has a question about talking to your players.
Yeah, Coach, how do you feel about kind of the entire thing with Bill Belichick heading to college? Obviously, people are kind of surprised by it, especially with his age. But do you think that is something that, in 2-3 years, we're just going to see the Pittsburgh Steelers full of North Carolina Tar Heel players just because it will become sort of like a pipeline to the NFL with Bill?
I think that's a real possibility. I think it is awesome. I had a couple of sons that played college football. I would have sent my boys down there to play for them in a hurry. They're going to be instructed. That their football intellect is going to be developed, the skills relative to the positions that they play. I think he's going to be great for that place and great for college football.
Yeah, and West Virginia, too. Yeah, West Virginia, too. Yeah, going to win. Hey, we appreciate the hell out of you, Coach. Good luck the rest of the way. You're the man.
My brother. Take care, man. Best of luck to you guys.
Yes, sir. You too, ladies and gentlemen. Head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, Coach.